And that's what makes Buffett's words universal. They're not about America. They're about you, me, and every person who's ever believed that happiness could be bought with an extra zero on their bank account. Before we begin, I want to know something. Wherever you are right now, whatever country, whatever city, tell me in the comments below. Where are you watching this from? Because this message isn't just for one nation. It's for everyone who's ever worked hard, done everything right, and still wondered why financial freedom feels so far away. In this story, we're going to break down the invisible trap that keeps people poor, how it starts, why most never see it, and the mindset shift Buffett said was the only way to escape. By the end, you'll see money, success, and freedom in a completely different way. Let's begin with the story of how even the world's greatest investor nearly fell into the very same trap. There's a strange thing about success, a quiet illusion that almost no one notices until it's too late. It starts small, innocent. A young worker gets a raise, a business owner makes their first real profit, a family finally breathes easier after years of struggle. In that moment, something shifts inside. The mind whispers, "You deserve more." And for the first time, they can buy things they never could before. A new phone, a better car, a larger home. But behind that feeling of progress lies the very trap Buffett warned about, the illusion of success that feeds the cycle of poverty. Because when income grows, expectations grow even faster. The raise that was supposed to bring peace brings pressure instead. The new house brings new bills. The better job brings longer hours, higher taxes, and deeper exhaustion. It's not that people don't make more money. They just build a bigger cage with every step forward. Warren Buffett once said, "If you buy things you don't need, soon you'll have to sell things you do." Most people never realize what he meant. He wasn't condemning spending. He was revealing a pattern that enslaves even the smartest minds. The more people earn, the more they adjust their identity to that new level. They start to believe that a higher lifestyle means a better life. That comfort equals success. That the car in the driveway, the clothes on their back, the brand on their wrist somehow measure their worth. It's the illusion of progress, and it's almost impossible to detect while you're inside it. Psychologists call it lifestyle inflation. Buffett called it the quiet killer of freedom, because every time you adjust upward, you lose a piece of flexibility, you lose a piece of control, you chain your peace of mind to things that can disappear overnight. A bigger paycheck brings a bigger promise to keep it up, and suddenly the thing that was supposed to set you free becomes the very thing that holds you captive. Buffett saw this pattern early in his life. In the 1950s, when he was just starting his investment partnership, he watched people around him chase appearances instead of substance. His neighbors bought new Cadillacs and suits every year, even when their businesses were barely surviving. They smiled in public, stressed in private, and borrowed money just to look successful. Buffett, on the other hand, drove the same car for years, lived in the same modest house, ate the same simple breakfast every morning. People thought he was eccentric, even cheap. But he wasn't avoiding luxury, he was avoiding dependence. He once told a friend, "The moment you need to earn more to maintain what you already have, you're no longer rich, you're trapped." That's the paradox of wealth. The richer people get, the less freedom they often have. Because real wealth isn't measured by what you can buy, it's measured by what you can walk away from. Think about that for a second. How many people do you know who could walk away from their job, their bills, their debt, their habits, and still feel calm? Most can't. Not because they're lazy or irresponsible, but because they've been sold a lie since childhood, that earning more is the path to living better. Buffett called it the great confusion. He said, "People don't know the difference between making money and being wealthy. Making money is a game. Being wealthy is a mindset." And that's where the trap truly begins. Because once your happiness depends on earning more, you've already lost control of your life. The world will always find new ways to make you chase. New ads, new trends, new comparisons. There will always be someone richer, younger, flashier, and as long as you measure yourself against them, you'll never feel enough. That's the invisible cage Buffett talked about. You can't see the bars, you can't touch them, but you feel them. Every time you check your bank account, every time you scroll through someone else's success online, every time you buy something not because you need it, but because you're afraid of feeling behind. The illusion of progress keeps you busy. It convinces you that effort equals advancement. But if your income and expenses grow at the same pace, you're just running on a prettier treadmill. That's why Buffett lived the way he did. He never let more define his happiness. He believed that freedom is not about adding, it's about subtracting, removing the things that quietly control you. And that's what most people never understand. They chase a version of success designed to keep them running forever. In the next part, we'll look at how Buffett almost fell into this same illusion himself, and the single decision that saved him from it. For years, Warren Buffett lived by principles of discipline, patience, and simplicity. But even the greatest minds are not immune to illusion. There was a time when Buffett himself began to sense that something was wrong. He was making more money than ever before. His investments were growing, and the world saw him as a symbol of success. Yet inside, a quiet discomfort began to grow. He realized he was spending more time managing what he had than enjoying why he had it. The simplicity that once gave him peace was slowly being replaced by complexity. More deals, more responsibilities, more pressure, more people depending on him. The trap he had warned others about was closing in, silently, invisibly. In one interview, Buffett admitted that success can be deceptive. He said, "The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken." He wasn't talking only about habits of behavior, but habits of thought, especially the thought that progress always means more. The turning point came during a quiet morning in Omaha. Buffett was reviewing reports at his desk, as he did every day. Dozens of numbers, letters, and charts filled the room. His empire had never been stronger. Yet in that moment, a strange thought crossed his mind. If I stopped today, would I still be happy? It wasn't a question about money, it was a question about purpose. And for the first time, the answer didn't come easily. He realized that even success can become a trap if it grows faster than your sense of peace. He had spent decades building systems, companies, and investments designed to create financial freedom. But in doing so, he had started to lose the freedom of time. He remembered how much he used to enjoy the small things, reading for hours, sitting quietly in the morning sunlight, talking to friends without looking at the clock. But as his business grew, those moments became rarer. The world's expectations of him had become his own expectations. He was no longer working because he needed to. He was working because the machine demanded to keep running. That realization hit him harder than any financial loss. For a man who believed in efficiency and purpose, he had fallen into the same mental trap he warned others about. The illusion that if you stop moving, you lose momentum. If you stop growing, you fall behind. He began to see how easily comfort can become captivity. The meetings, the calls, the constant flow of opportunity, it all looked like success, but it came at a cost. Each new commitment stole a little more time from what truly mattered. That's when Buffett made one of the most important decisions of his life. He decided to redefine what success meant to him. From that day on, he would no longer measure his worth by how much he earned, but by how much freedom he had. He simplified everything. He began saying no more often. He stopped attending most business events. He focused only on what he loved: reading, thinking, and spending time with people he genuinely respected. Buffett understood something most people never do. He realized that freedom is not something you achieve. It's something you protect. You don't win it once. You defend it every day, because the world will constantly try to buy pieces of it from you, with fame, with comfort, with status, with more. When people asked him why he still lived in the same modest house, why he still drove an old car, he smiled and said, "Because everything I don't buy is something I don't have to worry about." It wasn't about saving money. It was about saving mental space. Buffett knew that every new thing you own becomes something that owns you back. Every new luxury becomes a new responsibility. The moment he realized this, the illusion shattered. The trap was no longer invisible. He saw it clearly for what it was, a beautiful cage designed to look like freedom. He understood that the real danger wasn't losing money. It was losing perspective. The moment you forget why you started, success becomes another form of debt. Buffett once said, "You can't buy peace of mind. You can only live in a way that earns it." Those words would later become the foundation of his philosophy, the compass that guided every major decision he made afterward. From that day forward, he made a quiet promise to himself, to never again let external success determine his internal peace, to make decisions based on values, not vanity, and to remind the world that wealth, in its truest form, has nothing to do with numbers. It has everything to do with freedom. That realization was the moment Buffett escaped the trap, and it's the reason why, decades later, he continues to live a life of calm, simplicity, and purpose, while others with far more money remain restless and unsatisfied. Most people believe that success is about addition. Buffett discovered that it's about subtraction, removing the noise, the pressure, the endless chase for more. He chose clarity over clutter, meaning over money, and peace over prestige. And that single choice changed everything. In the next chapter, we'll explore how Buffett used this revelation to completely reshape his strategy, not just for investing, but for living. After that realization, Buffett began to see wealth through a completely different lens. To the outside world, he was already one of the richest men alive. But to him, true wealth had little to do with numbers on a balance sheet. He understood that if money didn't give you peace, it wasn't wealth. It was just another form of stress. Buffett started to observe how people behaved when they became successful. He noticed that for most, money only magnified who they already were. The generous became more generous. The anxious became more anxious. The greedy became even greedier. He realized that wealth doesn't change people, it exposes them. So he began asking a question that would shape the rest of his life. What's the point of becoming rich if you have to give up freedom to keep it? He believed that financial independence meant nothing if you were emotionally or mentally enslaved by the very thing you built. And so, he began to build his life around one simple principle: freedom first, fortune second. For Buffett, freedom wasn't about escaping work. It was about choosing it. He loved what he did. He loved studying businesses, reading annual reports, and finding patterns that others overlooked. But he refused to let those passions control him. He wanted the ability to say no to anything that didn't align with his values. He said, "If you can't say no, you don't own your life. Someone else does." Most people, he noticed, build their entire identity around being needed. They feel important because others rely on them, their jobs, their success, their image. But that dependence is fragile. The moment the world stops applauding, they start to crumble. Buffett didn't want applause. He wanted autonomy. That's why he continued to live simply, not out of frugality, but out of clarity. Every dollar he didn't spend was a decision to remain untied. Every material thing he refused to buy was a reminder that freedom was his true asset. He said once, "The best investment you can make is in yourself, but the second best is in your independence." To Buffett, independence wasn't about isolation. It was about intention. It was about structuring your life so that you never have to compromise what truly matters. The ability to wake up every morning and choose how to spend your time, that, to him, was the highest form of wealth. He often pointed to people who made millions but lived in quiet misery. They had everything except peace. They had luxury, but no time. Success, but no rest. Attention, but no fulfillment. They were trapped by their own achievements. Buffett saw it as the great irony of the modern world. People spend their lives chasing money, only to lose the very freedom they hoped money would buy. He began teaching his closest students and partners that wealth without wisdom is poverty in disguise. It doesn't matter how much you earn if you don't control how you live. He explained that every dollar comes with a hidden cost, the time and energy you spend to earn it. He asked a simple but powerful question. If you have to trade your peace for profit, are you really winning? That question would later become a silent test he applied to every business decision. If an opportunity threatened his balance or demanded too much of his life, he would walk away, no matter how profitable it seemed. This approach confused many. They thought Buffett was leaving money on the table, but in reality, he was protecting something far more valuable: his ability to think clearly, to live simply, and to stay grounded. He understood that the richest person in the world is not the one with the most money, but the one who needs the least. He believed that minimalism was not about owning less. It was about being owned by less. Buffett's redefinition of wealth spread quietly but powerfully. Younger investors who studied him began to notice the deeper lesson behind his actions. He wasn't teaching people how to make money. He was teaching them how to keep their souls intact while doing it. He reminded them that the purpose of money is not to impress others. It's to buy back your time. Every smart investment should buy you a piece of your life back, not take more of it away. He often said, "Money is a tool, but if you don't learn to control the tool, it will start controlling you." That's why Buffett avoided things that distracted him. He didn't surround himself with luxury or noise. He avoided television, gossip, and meaningless social displays. He kept his circle small, his habits simple, and his goals focused. Because when everything around you becomes louder, silence becomes a superpower. That silence gave him clarity, the clarity to make decisions based not on greed or fear, but on logic and patience. Buffett knew that financial freedom and mental peace were two sides of the same coin. You can't have one without the other. You can be rich and miserable, or comfortable and calm. The choice depends on what you prioritize. For him, every choice came back to freedom. Not freedom from work, but freedom from worry. Not freedom from responsibility, but freedom from regret. He once said, "The difference between rich people and truly wealthy people is simple. Rich people measure money, wealthy people measure time." And that's when he began to build everything around that idea. Time was his real currency. Every decision, every investment, every commitment had to answer one question: will this give me more time or take it away? That mindset changed everything. It turned wealth from a destination into a philosophy. It made simplicity his shield against the noise of the world. And as the years went by, Buffett's calm, steady life became the clearest example of how true wealth looks nothing like what the world sells us. He proved that success without serenity is just another kind of failure. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the system Buffett designed to protect his freedom, the mental framework that allowed him to grow richer while living lighter. After redefining what wealth meant to him, Buffett faced a new challenge: how to protect that freedom in a world designed to take it away. He realized that freedom wasn't something you win once. It's something you maintain through structure, discipline, and intention. So he built a system, a framework for freedom, that would keep his life simple, balanced, and self-sustaining no matter how big his empire became. The first rule of his framework was clarity. Buffett refused to make decisions he didn't understand. He often said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." This rule wasn't just about business, it was about life. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you say no to something essential. He structured his days around this principle. Buffett's schedule remains famously empty, even today. He spends most of his time reading, thinking, and reflecting. No endless meetings, no constant travel, no chaos, just space for deep thought. To him, that quiet time was the highest form of productivity. He once joked, "I insist on lots of time being spent almost every day to just sit and think." That is very uncommon in American business. The second rule was focus. Buffett learned early that you can't be great at everything, so you must choose what matters most and ignore the rest. He applied the same strategy to his personal life. He surrounded himself only with people who shared his values and avoided those who drained his energy. He called it the inner circle of trust. If someone didn't bring clarity, wisdom, or integrity into his life, they simply didn't stay in it. The third rule was simplicity. Buffett's life looks plain to outsiders, but it's carefully designed. He drives the same route to work every day, eats breakfast from the same place, and lives in the same house he bought in 1958. To him, routine wasn't boring, it was liberation. Every decision he automated freed mental space for more important thinking. He believed that simplicity removes friction, and friction is what kills focus. The fourth rule was patience. Buffett built Berkshire Hathaway into one of the most valuable companies in history by mastering the art of waiting. He knew that most people fail because they want immediate results. He said, "You can't produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant." In other words, some things simply take time. He applied that same patience to life. When others rushed to chase new trends or opportunities, Buffett waited. He understood that good decisions compound just like good investments. The final rule of his framework was detachment. Buffett learned to emotionally separate himself from the noise of the market and from the expectations of others. He knew that constant comparison is poison. The market rises and falls. People praise and criticize, but he remains steady. He said, "Games are won by players who focus on the field, not the scoreboard." This detachment gave him something most people never find: peace in uncertainty. He didn't fear downturns, he welcomed them, because he knew that when everyone else panics, the calm mind sees opportunity. But the framework wasn't just about business strategy. It was about building a life that could run itself. Buffett understood that the greatest luxury is not a mansion or a yacht. It's a system that lets you live on your own terms. He built routines that protected his time, boundaries that protected his peace, and habits that protected his focus. He believed that discipline equals freedom, not the kind of discipline that punishes, but the kind that liberates. When you remove chaos from your life, you don't lose excitement, you gain control. You gain the ability to choose what truly matters. Buffett's system was simple but powerful. Read, think, decide, repeat. He knew that most people complicate success because they crave stimulation. They want movement, drama, and action. But real growth is quiet, almost invisible. His framework wasn't about doing more. It was about doing less, better. It allowed him to live at his own pace, free from pressure, yet constantly moving forward. This structure became his invisible fortress. While others built empires that consumed them, Buffett built one that sustained him. His life became proof that control doesn't come from working harder, it comes from designing smarter. He often said that the goal of life isn't to maximize returns, it's to maximize peace. And when you build a framework that keeps you aligned with your values, the peace you gain becomes the true profit. In the next chapter, we'll explore how Buffett passed this philosophy to others, and how his way of thinking quietly transformed generations of investors, leaders, and everyday people searching for freedom in a world addicted to more. As Warren Buffett grew older, his fortune continued to multiply. But his mission began to change. The numbers no longer impressed him. What mattered most was ensuring that his philosophy, his way of seeing money, freedom, and life, would outlive him. He understood something that few billionaires ever do. Wealth disappears, but wisdom endures. Buffett's greatest legacy wouldn't be his companies or his billions. It would be his mindset. He wanted people to learn not how to make money, but how to master themselves. That's why, even after becoming one of the richest men in history, he still lived like the man next door. It wasn't humility for the sake of image, it was proof of principle. He often said, "You don't find out who's been swimming naked until the tide goes out." To him, this wasn't just about the market, it was about life. When hard times come, only those who built their lives on discipline and simplicity remain standing. He wanted people to understand that financial strength means nothing without emotional strength. Buffett began teaching through stories, not lectures. He believed that wisdom should be relatable, not academic. He told people about his mistakes, the times he overestimated himself, and the moments when ego almost cost him everything. By sharing his vulnerabilities, he turned success into something human, something anyone could learn from. One of his favorite lessons was about compounding, not just in money, but in habits. He said, "Chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken." He warned that small decisions repeated daily either build your freedom or your prison. Whether it's spending, thinking, or living, every choice compounds over time. He began to mentor not just investors but young people seeking direction. He told them that the best education isn't found in classrooms or degrees, it's found in curiosity and reflection. Buffett believed that knowledge only becomes power when paired with patience and action. He urged them to read, to think independently, and to avoid the noise of the crowd. He often reminded them, "You don't have to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. You just have to avoid stupid mistakes." This simplicity confused many at first. They expected secrets, shortcuts, or formulas. But Buffett knew that the real secret was consistency. While the world chases complexity, wisdom hides in simplicity. As he grew older, Buffett became increasingly aware that legacy is not about what people remember you for. It's about what people do because of you. He began to give away most of his wealth, donating billions to causes he believed would outlast him. But even then, he warned that money without wisdom can cause more harm than good. He said, "Giving away money doesn't make you generous. Giving away control does." For Buffett, generosity wasn't about writing checks. It was about teaching others to think freely, live simply, and make choices that align with their values. His approach influenced countless people around the world. Investors studied his letters. Students analyzed his quotes. Entrepreneurs tried to replicate his calm mindset. But Buffett always reminded them that imitation isn't mastery. He said, "The goal isn't to be me. The goal is to think for yourself." He knew that real wisdom spreads like a quiet ripple. One person learns to value time over money, then teaches it to another and another. Over decades, that mindset becomes a movement. Buffett's words became seeds of perspective planted across generations. He believed that the world doesn't need more rich people, it needs more free people. People who know when enough is enough. People who work not to impress others, but to improve themselves. People who understand that success without peace is failure in disguise. That's why his message continues to grow, even as he steps back from the spotlight. Because what he offered was more than advice. It was a way of living that defies time. A mindset that will keep teaching long after his fortune is gone. Buffett's true wealth isn't measured in billions, it's measured in the number of minds he set free. In the final part, we'll reflect on the timeless lessons of his journey and the question he leaves for every person who's still chasing more. Warren Buffett's life teaches us something that most people spend a lifetime trying to understand. Wealth is not freedom. Success is not peace. Money, by itself, is just a magnifying glass. It makes you more of what you already are. He spent decades proving that true success isn't about how high you climb, but how light you travel. While others filled their lives with noise, Buffett filled his with silence. While others chased everything, he chose enough. The world today tells you to want more, to buy more, to move faster. But Buffett's legacy whispers a different truth, that peace is the highest profit, and time is the rarest currency. Every decision you make is either buying you freedom or selling it away. So ask yourself, what are you really working for? What are you trading your hours, your energy, and your dreams for? Because the trap Buffett warned about still exists. It's hidden inside every advertisement, every comparison, every voice that says you need more to be enough. But you have a choice. You can step off the treadmill. You can stop confusing movement with meaning. You can build a life that earns peace instead of applause. Warren Buffett's final warning wasn't about money. It was about mindset. The richest people are not those with the most wealth, but those with the least need. And maybe that's the real secret, that happiness isn't found at the end of the chase, but in the moment you stop running. So wherever you are in the world, take this as a reminder. You don't need more to live better. You just need less of what doesn't matter. Because in the end, freedom isn't something you buy. It's something you choose every single day.